Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of the biggest misconceptions that's very prevalent in the US today. A lot of people nowadays think that obesity is just a genetic thing, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard someone say something like, oh, well, obesity and being fat just runs in my family. But today we're going to talk about why this statement is just not true. Ultimately, your weight is a direct result of what you eat, and the genes in your DNA don't have much to do with it actually. First, we're going to go over different quote-unquote fat genes that people always point to and talk about how little they actually affect you. Then we're going to talk about how diet affects weight, and then we'll go over a few studies that help to prove that diet has a much greater impact on weight than your genes. So let's get right into it. First, what is a gene? Basically, a gene is just a piece of DNA which acts like instructions that tell your body how to make a protein that does something in your body. Those fat genes I mentioned earlier can create proteins that either tell your body to conserve fat or make you more hungry or something similar. And in total, there are around 100 genes that have been linked to obesity. But overall, they only account for 2.7% of the difference in obesity between people with and without these genes. The one that has the strongest link to obesity is called FTO. FTO is one of the fat genes that makes a protein in your brain which increases your appetite and might cause you to gain weight. The thing, though, is that it only causes a difference in 0.34% of people who have it. It's not even 0.5%, which is super tiny. And although the whole appetite increase thing seems super severe, it has only been found to make people eat about 500 extra calories more per year, which again is super tiny. This is like eating 2 extra bagels a year. FTO has the strongest link to obesity, and as you can see, it's not even that strong. So imagine what the others are like. And, to top it all off, it's been found that exercise lessens the effects of FTO, and eating a healthy plant-based diet completely gets rid of the effects. Completely. FTO is only noticeable in those who eat a lot of meat, dairy, and junk foods that have a lot of saturated fats in them. So it seems that passing down genes doesn't make you fat, but actually passing down unhealthy diets and lifestyles from parent to child is what causes people to be overweight. This suspicion then led to multiple studies being run to try and prove this point. The first study that sought to prove that lifestyles have a larger impact on obesity than genes do was an observational study run on biological and adopted children with overweight parents. Basically, the researchers observed biological children with overweight parents to see how likely they were to become overweight and did the same with adopted children. The biological kids have the genes, lifestyle, and diet of the overweight parents, while the adopted kid only has the lifestyle and diet. So if the adopted kids become overweight as well, it's unlikely that the genes are the real difference here. The result of the study was that the biological kids were 27% more likely to become overweight, while the adopted kids were 21% more likely to become overweight. While there is a slight difference between the groups, meaning that genes might have a little effect, the two groups are still fairly similar, so it's clear that the lifestyle and diet have a much larger effect than the genes do. Another great example of this is the case of the Pima Indians. The Pima Indians are a group of Native Americans that live in Arizona. Their diet mainly consists of corn, beans, squash, and other grains and plants. However, when the river that they lived on was diverted away from their settlements, there was a severe drought and famine. This then caused the Pima Indians to change their way of life. Some of the Pima moved to Mexico, where they could continue their normal lifestyle, while others stayed in the US and lived off of government food programs. Shortly after this split, you can see the huge impact of food on obesity. Those who stayed in the US and ate the unhealthy US food saw a rapid increase in obesity and disease, while those who went to Mexico and continued to eat healthy plant foods and grains did not see an increase in obesity and disease. All the Pima come from the same pool of genes, but the difference that diet made once they split was huge. Those in the US had 7 times more obesity than those in Mexico, and it was all a result of the food they ate, not their DNA. So to sum everything up, while genes may make people more susceptible to obesity and disease, diet is what really makes the difference. If you have fat genes or genes for certain diseases, diet can determine whether or not your body expresses those genes, and this idea is very apparent in the case of the Pimas. Those who ate healthy did not become overweight and develop disease as much, but those who ate poorly did, way more. The bottom line here is that no matter what genes you have, you can control your health and weight, for the most part, by making good decisions with your diet. Your diet controls your genes, so make sure to eat a healthy, plant-based diet and you'll be all good. Anyways, that's all for today. We're going to be doing a whole series on the obesity epidemic and the many causes and problems, so make sure to subscribe to keep up with the next videos in the series coming out soon. And while you're at it, like the video and leave a comment down below with any questions or thoughts you might have, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.